Welcome to Running It Back, the Lessons Learned from Sports podcast. We've been away for a little while, but it's just going to make coming back together even better. Tarlin, welcome back to the podcast.
One, thank you. Thank you for the welcome. Two, I'm happy to be able to talk without coughing. I've basically had a cough since January 1st. And we first got to give a shout out to our listeners, those who subscribe on the YouTube channel or watching, for all the comments where they're tracking how long it takes for us to actually get to the commentary or to talk about sports. I just want folks, since it's been a little while, they should just buckle up for a moment because I have a couple things to say at the top.
Right. And also, I've been toying with the idea of releasing a separate feed, which is just Tarlin's Tales, which is just your stories at the top of the show, which may open up an opportunity to release just the shows. For that audience out there who just wants to hear the show part.
Just want to get to the shows.
You know?
Just hang in there for a moment. One, had my 50th birthday. Not one to really celebrate my birthday. Growing up, my sister's birthday was 4 days apart. We are over 2 years apart. I'm still not allowed to say who's younger or older.
Just to clarify, growing up, you were 4 days apart. That has changed since you're adults, or are you still 4 days apart?
Let me explain. Stop. It's 6:56 my time. I got coffee in me. You got life in you. Oh, and then you got a chance to already go out and play in the snow. So I think my last birthday party was like when I was 8, and I was like over it. My buddies threw a surprise party with 2 other girls in my class when I was 18. That was cool.
Yeah.
Really haven't had a party. And so the 50th, it's a number. It's just a number.
Right.
And it's the new 40.
Welcome.
I spent the day at my daughter's club volleyball game. You never experienced anything. A few of the dads took me, and we were the first ones out of Sizzler at 10 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
That place is hopping at 10 a.m. And they serve beer. So why not?
Right.
When I got back, great meal. Family made a great meal, and I had.
Oh, I thought you meant great meal at the Sizzler.
No,
got
Sizzler.
It. So there was two great meals. There was the Sizzler buffet.
I did not eat the wet cheese bread at Sizzler. I passed on that, and I just went with the beer.
Right.
When I got home, my family made a great meal, but my wife gave me the best gift I've ever got in my life, which was she was a co-host with you.
Yeah.
Get back, and they made an hour-long video, they and you, with people sending in video tributes. And so I give you a lot of crap as a longtime Knicks fan and Mets fan.
Yeah.
And I wish when we were in 2004 as the Kaplan Scorelords, you could have played a little bit better.
Right.
I sincerely want to thank you personally it's a lot of work on your part. It's an amazing gift from her. It's an amazing gift from you. So I just want to thank you.
Yeah. And we should figure out what's allowed to be released to the public out of that hour. Maybe like our listeners, we can give them just a taste.
I'll have to rewatch to see what's allowed to be consumed. So that's one.
That's my quarterback.
And two, the tales. We should have hit record early on. We had some stories about Sega golf back in 94. I didn't know that was even a sport. I didn't know why you were playing Sega hockey.
Right.
Happened to mention that it snowed in New York. You were just outside with your son playing in the snow, and you look forward to going sledding after this. And
my son, who is 5, so just to be clear, he's not like an 18-year-old, which would have been fine. But the fact that he's 5 makes it even better.
Dad, do you want to share a sled, or do you want to go on your own this time?
Dad, I'm old enough to ride my own sled. We'll ride the sled together, son.
So you mentioned snow. I know it hasn't snowed in New York City or in the New York area in 2 years.
Yeah.
And you happen to just throw out atmospheric river.
Yeah.
So what is an atmospheric river?
By the way, the other segment in addition to Tarlin's Tales is Fun with Meteorology.
Atmospheric rivers are relatively long, narrow regions in the atmosphere, like rivers in the sky, that transport most of the water vapor outside of the tropics.
Rivers in the Sky, well, that was your third album?
That's my band name.
Your band name, okay.
Yeah, it gets confused, and then it was the name of the third album. So
right.
We'll go to that later. While atmospheric rivers can vary greatly in size and strength, the average atmospheric river carries an amount of water vapor roughly equivalent to the average flow of water at the mouth of the Mississippi River. So,
yeah,
I've lived in the East Coast.
By the way, Tarlin, that dot is right in the middle of your, like, it's doing interesting things on your face. Like, I'm going to leave this in because this is entertaining, especially for our listeners. Our listeners need to know about our back and forth.
It's in my nose right now. The green dot is
better.
I'm not going to say. So, is it bothering you? So, lived in the East Coast where you have the Arctic blasts, feels like a finger coming down.
The polar vortex sometimes kicks in.
It's a polar vortex, the bomb cyclone.
Oh, yeah.
And you've just had dumps of snow.
And you know what they call the creation of the bomb cyclone?
What's it?
Bombogenesis. I still remember when that was big one winter. Bombogenesis just happened.
The way you retain information, I think that is useless. I appreciate you, and that's what the internet's for. So, I also experienced 2014. We broke the snow record in Boston in February. We had 90 inches of snow and nowhere to put it.
Damn.
There's nothing like an atmospheric river. And living in LA, most people are like, "Oh, how's the atmospheric river?" And we were driving home as it started, and it's raining. Like, it's just some rain.
Yeah.
And people in LA don't know how to drive when it's raining. But I've never experienced it. Someone turned on the faucet in the sky.
Yeah.
Now, preparing for the atmospheric river, for those who are listeners, last year, we had 3 leaks in the house. We now have 3. We have a couple leaks elsewhere. But one thing you do, and you do it on the East Coast too, if you have a pool, you drain your pool.
Right.
Not completely, but you drain water in the pool. So I drained water in the pool and woke up at 1:30 just with this shot out of bed, like, I need to see what the pool level is. The pool I crested.
Damn. Is this an above ground or in-ground pool? That's for our listeners. Our listeners appreciate my question.
That's our survey. And we love to know what the thought is. The pool I crested, the pool equipment, none of it was working. In order to check the pool equipment, you're wading through shin-high water, and you have a choice to make. And I was alone. My wife's out of town. Do you run up and down trying to figure out how to turn electricity, or do you bail water? So I bailed water. And my new favorite tool in the house is the red bucket. And I bailed water for an hour.
Right.
Pouring rain and maniacally laughing as it's 2:30 in the morning, just laughing.
Laughing and probably getting into coughing fits as well because you're still recovering.
But also got my workout in.
Let's go. There you go. Win-win.
So when the pool man came the next day, because I put out an APB, SOS.
Yeah.
He said we were able to figure out how to get the power back on. And then he looked at the pool, that water level. He said, "You bailed a lot of water." I go, "Yeah, I did."
And this is your new fitness regime. You're going to be like, you'll be like Billy Blank's Thai bow, except it'll be Tarlin, maybe bucket bow. I don't know. We're still workshopping.
So bucket bow, I also, in my head, to make sure you balance both sides, I would kneel on one side.
Yeah.
Left hand under the bucket, bail.
Yeah.
20 reps. Then you flip sides, kneel the other leg, right hand under the bucket. I did that rep routine, left and right, 17 times to get the water out. I want you to do the math. No math? No math? You're not going to do the math?
It's still too early for math. The Tough Mudder Spartan race, maybe they could add an overflowing pool to the obstacles. I don't know.
So that's what I have. I just want to let you know, if people think that we are a little dramatic in LA, which we can be, it's the land of Hollywood. Like, it is real. It's real. It's happening. We have mudslides.
Yeah, you got extreme
parts
stuff.
of Pacific Coast Highway. The highway is basically gone. They have to repair it because of the water. So we got extreme. The last 2 years, extreme water.
You had an earthquake. You're not even talking about. That's how
I didn't even know what happened.
Atmospheric river is. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, as New York, where we have lots of risk around man-made catastrophes, but in terms of like natural catastrophes, we're relatively, I shouldn't even say this on the air, but we're relatively safe here. We get 5 inches of snow, not bad, temperate climate. And for our meteorologist fans out there, you're welcome. This was brought to you by the Weather Channel.
So what are we talking about? What's this podcast about?
This podcast is normally about sports. We've been away a while. So much stuff has happened. The Super Bowl just finished. We should probably do some debriefing on the NFL season that just was, and then the NBA. Those are probably our 2 main sports that we talk about. We should certainly hit on lessons learned from there. And the one thing that has come up is questions about who's the GOAT in the NFL, where Tom Brady was clearly the GOAT in everyone's reckoning. And now suddenly Patrick Mahomes, not suddenly, he's had a little bit of a career so far, but he's still early in his career, picks up his third chip. Questions of the GOAT come up there. And then also questions of the D word, dynasty. The Chiefs are a dynasty. I think folks would agree now, having won 3 championships. If you win 2, it's not really
3 and 6 Super Bowls. They're going to Super Bowl 4 in the last 5 years.
So that's where dynasty is coming back. Not dynasty with Linda Evans, Joan Collins, and John Forsythe. That's not coming back, to the best of my knowledge.
Never watched that show.
Oh, really? The fight between Joan Collins and Linda Evans.
They
had like a battle. It was like the Real Housewives of Orange County before the Real Housewives. They had a fight
before reality.
It was in like a fountain. It was crazy. Wow. It was totally over the top.
So bummed I missed this.
Yeah, you really missed out. But Dynasties, not talking about the ABC hit from back in the day. We're talking about sports dynasties. Try to get some lessons learned from there, but both in the NFL and also some dynasties in the NBA. Plus, we like to be inclusive and broaden our thinking, so we can also reference other stuff that's happening. I saw Tiger Woods was back on the links, made me think of you a little bit. He certainly is the GOAT, and he was dominant, a dynasty of 1 at some point in his career. We just wanted to get the flow going again. We're planning to be back on the regs, so we figured Super Bowl happened, NBA's heating up. Let's talk dynasties. Let's talk GOATs.
I'm just happy that you landed, because as often happens, we didn't even get a chance to text, but the one thing you did was you put the title of our show today.
Right.
So I saw it in the calendar. I said, okay, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where you're going, you were on the prepper.
It's like a tumbling run, Tarlin.
The title is Goats, 3peats, and Dynasties.
I'm like improvisational dance. You don't know where I'm going to go.
I don't know if I want to play jazz. I just want to. I'm going to play that. I'm going to hit that single note. I'm the cymbal. Ding.
Yeah, right. You're cowbell.
More cowbell, please.
Yeah.
All right. Goats.
Yeah.
Congrats to Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Is he your Mahomes boy? Because he's my Mahomes boy. I don't know how you feel about him.
I would just say, when people talk about GOATs, and if they're even talking about Brady and Mahomes, just let it breathe. Mahomes
I thought you were talking about my hair. You're saying just let it breathe. You're talking
for those, if you could see, it does look like Bob Big Boy.
It was a snowy morning. I didn't have a lot of time to get my hair together.
Blame the hat.
Yeah.
I actually forgot. For some reason, I thought you were bald. So keep holding on to that up there. Wisp of hair.
Red don't shed.
Red. So if you were to compare, Brady played for 20 years. Mahomes is in his first 6 years.
Yeah.
If you compare Brady and Mahomes stats in their first 6 years, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Mahomes, a better regular season record by 3 wins, more Super Bowls, 6-3, more NFL MVPs, 2-0, better completion percentage, more passing yards by 7,000 yards, almost 70 more touchdowns. So it's not even close.
He's also ahead in signature haircuts, 1-0.
What do you call that? There used to be the Gumby. It's like
right to say anything.
It's like his own mullet. It's like his own mullet, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of mullet. Got it. And they both had 3 Super Bowl wins in their first 6 years. Now, Brady did 3 and 4 years.
And he started out 3-0 before.
Started out 3-0.
Before Eli Manning. Did you see the Eli Manning thing?
No.
I'm going to paraphrase it. We'll bring in his actual thing. But he said, I'm Eli Manning, and I'm nice. Some say Tom Brady's the GOAT. Psych! I beat him twice. Hold me back. Eli is a comic genius. I am so in the Eli Manning camp.
When was that was on the Manning cast, or
no? This is just like this. This was out on the internet. This is like maybe I don't know, went out on Twitter or something. And it's like cool things on the internet. The meme of like the guys going like like they're losing their mind. Yeah. It's that. It's amazing. Right.
I'll check it out. So, anyways, I just say let it breathe. Right now, Mahomes, his run, and this will lead to the dynasty conversation, we haven't seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And how are you going to compare someone's first 6 years to 20 years? And Brady really didn't start having sort of these epic years until 2008 when Randy Moss joined and they actually changed their offense. He started to be, other than, and look, we'll get to game managers, other than making sure and making plays when they needed to, he wasn't the dominant force that he was. So he almost had two different careers, his first 7 and then what happened from 2008 until he retired.
What
So I would
happened
just say,
after Eli Manning beat him the first time, they had to go make the super team. And that's the other thing about Mahomes is that, I mean, granted, he has a Hall of Fame tight end. And also, like, I will say, we haven't talked about Taylor yet, but she's kind of,
to.
I feel like we were on it early, and then
What do you mean? We already talked about it.
then
So
it
now,
became the thing, and now we don't want to talk about it
when it's
anymore.
Super Bowl 58, because in her favorite number is 13, and 5 plus 8 is 13, and the Super Bowl is on 211, and 2 plus 11 is 13. And this is that was the 13th time she had gone to see Travis play in person. So we hoped they were going to win the Super Bowl because it was the 13th time.
Oh, and the 13th letter in the alphabet is M, Mahomes. It all ties together.
Did you just do that? Did you just do that? In your head, you were doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
This is the jazz part of the conversation, Tarlin. We're riffing here. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's move on from GOATs, and you can always throw Montana in there, who never lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think if you're talking of any of the QBs, that's the group.
Yeah. And you can throw, he's not a GOAT, but he led a dynasty team, was Bradshaw, because I think Terry Bradshaw and
70s.
The 70s Steelers are reminding me a lot of kind of what's emerging at Kansas City now, especially if they can, keep Chris Jones and make their defense legit.
Can we hold on? Like you keep jumping. We're in GOATs and you're jumping the Dynasties.
You prepped. We didn't prep together. I'm just being me, dude.
Keep doing you. So the only thing I want to call out, because this has nothing to do with GOATs. And remember, Brady was, what is he, a 6th round pick, 7th round?
He was almost Mr. Irrelevant. He wasn't quite
almost Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Brady in his first 2 years, 14-7, 33 touchdowns, 21 interceptions, 5 playoffs, 5-0, which was great. He's
playoffs.
Talking about playoffs, 58% completion rate and 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Did okay.
Yeah.
I want to know why everyone's shitting on Brock Purdy. Oh, did I have the curse?
Yeah, I mean, it's
FTC violation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll pay the fine. I'm this year, so I don't get fined. Ahead of Brady, literally in every stat, except for he's 4-1 in the playoffs, so he's lost 1 game.
Yeah.
So to call Purdy a game manager, if you could look at the first 7 years, other than Brady winning, no one thought he was God. You have to get the tuck rule.
Yeah.
He had Vinatieri, he had an unbelievable kicker,
the
unbelievable defense.
Yeah.
If you think about the Brady Belichick years, it was a lot of Belichick early on until Brady got his butt kicked by Eli.
Thank you.
Not once, but
twice.
And so give Purdy time. I'm not saying he has Mahomes' arm. People keep calling him a system player, but he's finding guys in system, not making mistakes. And he did not play terrible. People want terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's terrible. In the Super Bowl.
Right.
So he acquitted himself well. Part of me, I'm bringing this up is because it's all about my fantasy team. When you draft a player in round 16 to 18, you hold all year, you can take him as your 10th round pick the next year.
Got it.
And I'm trying to talk myself into that's a good fantasy quarterback. He was number 5 fantasy quarterback.
You're talking Brock?
Brock.
Yeah.
So anyways, not only give Mahomes time, give Brock time. Brady wasn't Brady if you look at his first 2 seasons, and Brock is having a better first 2 seasons in the NFL than Brady had. So
man.
That's where I want to go. The GOAT's like, everyone let it breathe.
Yeah.
Everyone relax. You're just looking for something to talk about. Just why don't you focus on the now and the potential for someone versus whether or not you're already going to put them on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Well, it's also when you talk GOATs, the thing that's interesting to me is greatest of all time in terms of the full oeuvre, the entirety of their career, or are you saying greatest of all time when they were at their peak? The transcendent. This is why people bring up the 72 Dolphins, because they were undefeated, unlike the Patriots who lost to Eli Manning. In a lot of ways, Eli really is giving Mahomes more room in the GOAT conversation because he beat Brady twice. That does open up the conversation, because I think if you think about peak performance at their best. And we still haven't seen what Mahomes looks like when they make the equivalent of the Randy Moss move to bring his go-to guy who's going to replace
I don't think they'll do that.
Travis
Oh,
Kelce.
when Travis retires, you mean?
Yeah, when Travis, needs to stay at home to raise Taylor's kids, they're going to need to figure out what to do with Kansas City. And I imagine they're going to bring in, a couple of at least one, but I imagine maybe more than one big name targets. And that's where I still think there's a ceiling we haven't seen from Mahomes. Also, their offensive line wasn't that great this year either. And he's so good moving around in the pocket, in a way that Tom Brady never got to. Actually, Brock Purdy's much better scampering. He's got a little Fran Tarkenton in him.
Imagine, you said pocket. Imagine for someone who doesn't understand football, explaining the pocket to someone.
Yeah, right.
Like, what the hell?
I would bring it to jazz again, baby, where like when you're in the pocket, like you're kind of flowing and it's like a quarterback, especially like a Joe Flacco style quarterback. You got your traditional, it's what the blockers do to create that space that allows you to start
You hold
cooking.
your wallet,
Allows you
gummy
to
bears,
start cooking. You start
keys,
cooking. You got to get room to
phone.
cook. But then some people, what do they call it now? They don't call it a broken play. I think it's like off format.
Off platform.
Off platform.
No, the off platform flow. It is, I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
It means like you're moving. I think in the pocket is also like your feet are set. And there are ways in which like your positioning will lead to a more effective throw. And then if you think about what Mahomes does, he's better than Aaron Rodgers. And I'll take the blowback. I know Rodgers Nation.
Ooh.
They love this show. And right. I know we're right after McAfee.
It's got a call for McAfee.
They're listening.
Right?
Hierarchy, shots fired. But I'd say he's even more creative. Like some of those.
Pfizer's not calling. Pfizer's okay since.
That's good. That's true. Twice. Don't just get one vax. Just like Eli beating Tom Brady. Get vaccinated twice.
So you just talked about something. We will, the next show, we didn't get a chance to talk about it in our prep.
Prep. Yeah.
Is when is enough? And so we will be talking about the Kelce bump, the Draymond Green.
Wait, the Kelce bump, is he with child? Is that what you're saying? What's going on here? You have some news to break?
Slow your brain. And Rasheed Wallace, the Meta World Pieces, the Ronald Chess of the world. So we will be talking about when is enough?
I like it.
So that's next. You mentioned dynasties.
I did.
And you'll agree. Tell me if you agree to this. The dynasties in the NFL. 60s Packers. So you mentioned the 70s Steelers.
Yeah.
The 80s 49ers.
Yeah. And the 90s Giants bridged a little into that period.
Stop it with your homerish. The 90s Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Pats in the 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah, except the Giants twice.
Okay, just hold it. Hold it. You can't have a one trick. Can't show up for 1 year. I'm talking about its longevity. And right now it's the Chiefs.
Right.
The reason you talk about the Pats dynasty 2001 to 2019, they did lose Eli Manning not once, but
2 times.
They were 6 wins, 9 Super Bowls, and 18 seasons that Brady was the Brady Belichick combo. They were in half the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Mahomes right now in his 6th season has a better rate, but remember, we're gonna let that breathe. But when we're talking about dynasties, it's absolutely what the Chiefs are doing. They got rid of their transcendent wide receiver.
Yeah.
They're winning with a core group of defenders, and they need to bring back Chris Jones.
Right.
As long as they have Mahomes, as long as they have Kelce, they have a chance. Even if their wide receivers have dropsies, even if their first round running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was all world with that for LSU, NCAA championship, who would play with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
He may be on your fantasy team.
He's not. He was a couple years ago. Hurt because he's 2 yards in cloud dust and he'll give him the ball near the goal line. Those are the obvious dynasties. But I really, and you were, you're a little older than me, but you'll remember this. Can you be a dynasty if you don't win? And I think you got to give a lot of love to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are the dynasty because they won. But the dynasty in the 90s were the Buffalo Bills. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls. And we all remember the Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, James Lofton, the defense too. Same as you think about the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett, Steve Tasker, Darryl Talley.
Yeah.
Don Beebe, one of the early slot guys,
Yeah.
with Marv Levy as coach. So an original K-gun system, which then spread out to other
Right.
teams.
The Bulls kicker, however, was Scott Norwood
I
as
didn't say his
opposed
name.
to Butker.
I didn't
You
say his
know,
name. Oh, Wood. Tough kick.
I was in college when the Giants won that Super Bowl through that missed field goal attempt by Scott Norwood. So that will always and forever be on my mind.
So I think it's hard to argue that right now, the run that the Chiefs are on, it's a dynasty. It feels like the Warriors, who went to 5 straight championships. Now they've won 4 titles over 8 years, but they had a 3 in 5 years.
Yeah.
It feels very similar there. So they'll be very interested to see how they hold this together. You got on the Warriors side, guys like Klay Thompson, who now are going to the bench, and how they keep it together. But my question for you is, can you be a dynasty if you never win?
Yeah. I'd say no. I think it's something else. You're more like the foil. You're more like the wrestler who's going to lose, the palooka boxer who's going to go down a lot, but you're better than a palooka. It's hard to say. I almost said beluga, like the caviar. That's not what I meant.
So you think they're the Washington Generals for the Harlem Globetrotters? They're just going to get beat up, sent out to get beat up.
I
You
think
think that record is not impressive? They have no titles, so you're basically saying they're like Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, titleless. It means nothing.
yeah. Well, I think also the three-peat to me, when you talk three-peats, you got to talk the GOAT, Michael Jordan, who three-peated twice in the 90s
Yeah,
and retired in the middle. So it might have been a six-peat, depending on, how much he wanted to go to baseball. And there's plenty of other things going on there. Was he ducking Akeem? Was he ducking Houston? Realizing that, maybe I'm going to lay low. I'm going to lay low, play baseball so that I can do another three-peat when I come back and hide from the magic of the Twin Towers and Kenny Smith in Houston. But when you think three-peats and you think that level of dominance, I don't think there's a corollary to what Jordan did to anybody in the NFL. But I like where you went in terms of what Mahomes is, and even the player he compares himself to in the NBA is Curry. And I
yeah.
think that connection is an interesting one. The other piece I would put out there is just a little defense of TB12, because I'm a fan of pliability in middle age, is that he won one without Belichick. He went somewhere else. Like, to me, the thing that really blew me away, also branding wise, TB12 goes to Tampa Bay, TB.
No,
TB7 wins his chip independent of the original hoodie guy. Although you're holding your own.
I want you to finish, but I want to make sure all the listeners see what just happened here. Are you done?
Wait, is this your Kanye moment to my
I
Taylor?
want to
I'm
make
going to
sure
let you
all the
finish.
listeners know what just happened. I was trying to have a discussion about dynasties. Can you be a dynasty if you're a losing team?
Yeah.
And as a great politician, one Michael Palmer, he didn't want to answer that question. So he went to a conversation about three-peats, which
It's
I
a
can.
redirect.
I'm playing jazz. You read. I just want to.
I'm
make sure.
talking to a 5-year-old a lot. If I don't know how to redirect, I am plumb out of luck, brother.
Matthew, we're gonna have some classes. So three-peats. Let's talk three-peats.
Yeah.
You know where the term was coined, right?
Yes, I'm familiar.
But when? Can you?
I believe it might have been the turncoat Pat Riley LA Lakers. Yes.
Going into the 1988 season, Lakers had won 2 in a row, going back to back. We ended up losing in 1988, but Riley trademarks the term, and we've had, I guess he's had the Bulls have repeated twice since then, the Lakers and the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, also technically, my trivia team at Kaplan Tech 3, we did win the trivia tournament 3 times in a row. So that also was technically a three-peat.
Actually, also the Houston Comets. So I'm not sure why he didn't benefit off that. But anytime someone three-peats, hats, jackets, he's getting some money.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think he three-peated on jewelry recently. So the three-peat it's hard to do. The Lakers, there's only 3 teams that have done it more than once.
Mm-hmm.
The Bulls that we know in the 90s, the Yankees have done it, but over different
long periods of
time, and also the Lakers. So it was the Mike and Lakers, and then the Kobe Shaq. So it's something that if the NFL was the hottest thing, obviously with NFL is always must see TV. It's the most watched programming. it took it to another level with Taylor Swift, where they truly are bringing in a female demographic that would never be watching the game.
Yeah.
Add the 3peat to this for next year, the NFL is going to be nuts. And there's nothing that, if you're thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs, unless they can't bring back some of their defensive staff, they still have Spags, who's one of the best defensive coordinators out there. I think at least won 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he won. I think he won 2 with the Giants. Yeah.
Right. So that's 5.
I think he won 4. I think he won 2 with the Giants. And he missed the first one with the Chiefs.
First one with the Chiefs.
I think, yeah.
And then you got Andy Reid. And then you got Mahomes, and Kelsey's not going anywhere. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. I was edge of the seat hoping that the Warriors did it, but the wheels are coming off. 5 straight years going to the finals. They got injured. KD goes out. Klay Thompson goes out. So despite the fact that there's some part of the Chiefs that are a little annoying, I'm rooting for them to have a really great year. I want to see them in the playoffs again. I want to see them battling the Lamars of the world and see if they can do it one more time. Greatness doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen where you can see players year after year want to come back. And I was telling where I know those guys are celebrating, but they truly said, we're going to celebrate for a couple of days and we're going to get back to work. And I believe them that he needs to. You got to get some wide receivers that can catch the ball.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice is going to come back and have a dominant second year. So I'm just impressed by what the Chiefs have done. I'm rooting for another great year and rooting for them to have another shot in the Super Bowl. Even though it'd be rinse and repeat, it's a great story to watch.
Yeah, and it's just watching excellence, which is part of why you watch sports. And what Mahomes is doing is pretty crazy when you think about it. The other question is the GOAT, Tom Brady, is he now going to have a chip on his shoulder to become a GOAT broadcaster? Because I think he's doing some interesting initial interviews now where I think he actually might be a pretty good commentator. And that's what I wanted to close with, is just a shout out to Nate Burleson, who did the show on Nickelodeon, which I watched the first half with my son. Nate Burleson and Noah Eagle did an amazing call with Patrick and SpongeBob on Nickelodeon. Don't snooze on it. If you're tired of Tony Romo, I'd say check out Nickelodeon. I left
a lot of people are tired of Tony Romo. And the fact you brought up Nate Burleson to close out, when he was a player playing for the Vikings, I used to draft him 4th or 5th round.
Yeah.
And I get hammered because people thought he was terrible. So the fact that Nate Burleson is the guy you watched for the first half of the Super Bowl, kudos to Nate. I knew he had game.
Be clear, put the boy to bed, watched the second half, left it on Nickelodeon because I didn't need to put it back on Tony Romo. I actually was enjoying it enough. And then the thing about it that impressed me the most is that then he does the post game on CBS. So he code switches from, describing what a first down is and kicking it with Patrick. By the way, Patrick was totally carrying SpongeBob the entirety of this show. SpongeBob, I don't know, SpongeBob might have been enjoying Vegas a little too much. Just heard it from me here first. But I think we're going to hear more from Nate Burleson in the future. I'm curious what happens around his prospects. We didn't even get into Eric Bieniemy and now Steve Wilkes, our annual February.
Oh, we have time for our coaching carousel. And also, when is enough? It's great to see you. It's late in 2024, so it's too late to wish you a happy new year.
Yeah.
But I do wish for a great snow day for you. Enjoy the snow and don't come inside. I want to make sure you're not the one that says it's time to go in. Make sure it's Matthew that says, hey, I'm tired.
Yes, absolutely.
Bring the kid out. And I look forward to more consistent potting. We got a lot to talk about. Don't fall prey to people wanting to anoint the next GOAT. That's a silly conversation. Let's think about sports in a different way, how coaches are managing, and let's run it back to sports history because it's always interesting to think about our past and how it informs today and the future.
Amazing stuff. We'll be back more. Happy to be back in the saddle. Thanks for listening. This is Running It Back.